The most important idea behind Simmons Records is never really to listen to anybody. When I was a kid, I never listened to my mother, and I guess I did okay. She wanted me to be a doctor and a lawyer, and I didn't listen to her, and I did okay. And in the late 70s, 77 or so, I found a band in Los Angeles called Van Halen, and everybody told me they wouldn't work, and I listened to them, unfortunately. There was another band in the beginning of the 80s that I found called Cinderella that I listened to somebody else again who said they wouldn't happen. And of course they happened. The idea behind Simmons Records is never again. When I see a band I love, I'm just going to put my money behind it and go for it. And which is why the logo of the record company is a money bag. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a money bag and it's got a big dollar sign on it. And I don't want to make any bones about it. This is obviously stuff that I love, but we're going to go for it. We're going to go for the gold.
Tell us what sort of label it's going to be. Are you going to confine it to rock acts, or is it going to be quite broad-based?
I couldn't think of a more boring thing to do than just do heavy metal. You know, metal, man, it's a heavy metal band, you know what I mean? And the eyes disappear in the back of the skull. There's certainly a place for that. It's very important to make sure that that place is covered, but I want to do full spectrum. Rock and roll is not just about one thing. For every one person pointing fingers and saying, that's poser rock, and that's metal rock, and that's this rock, I'm sick and tired of the whole thing. It's rock and roll, and I'm going to sign the best stuff, no matter what spectrum of the rainbow it comes in.
What sort of acts have you signed so far?
LOZ NETTO is an English act who's a funkmeister, who is in fact the best new voice I've heard on anybody's record in the last 10 years, easily. And he writes very sexy, funky kind of English urban blues-based material. So he's obviously not the long-haired rock and roll variety, you know, with guitars. But he's obviously got his own sexual content, so he's great. LOZ NETTO. House of Lords is an American band. You know, great-looking guys. They'll have no problems getting girls at the end of the show, which is also a very important ingredient. You can't just make money and get rich and famous. You want those girls. And House of Lords will be the first release on Simmons Records, and that'll come out in America by the end of September, early October, and then probably here in Europe towards the end of the year.
What for you makes a band stand out? I know you don't want to give away any trade secrets, but as you say, you were there at the start of Van Halen, Cinderella. What is it that makes bands like that, and indeed your signing, stand out for you?
For free, huh? I think more than anything, you've got to have a believe in yourself, and you have to have your own stylistic approach, no matter what anybody may think. If people think you're the uncoolest, and you're the most old-fashioned, or you're the weirdest and the most bizarre, or that you're too loud or too soft, whatever it is, you've got to be your own beast, your own brand. You can't be, oh, here's that new band that sounds just like the Stones, or here's that new band that sounds like The Who, and that's okay, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm looking for that unique person who you can't quite define. You can't quite say, you know, that sounds like so-and-so. You can't quite put your finger on it. That's what makes it legit, original. Or a band that takes totally alien points of view. For instance, the Beatles took the Everly Brothers, which were white country almost, and Chuck Berry to even Motown, and mixed that up and came up with a really great brew. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for, really diverse kinds of talent.
I think a lot of people might be surprised, Gene, that you're very well informed about your music. You know a lot about the field. I think they sometimes write off band members of Kiss and other rock bands as being like only having 2 brain cells or whatever. What would you say to them?
Kiss my bank account?